Most people think they're prepared, but the truth is, FEMA's been quietly listing critical supplies that almost no one has on hand. Not trending gear, not viral TikTok gadgets. Just the kind of items that disappear first, hurt the most when missing, and don't show up on your average prep list. These aren't guesses. They're field-tested gaps FEMA's seen over and over in storms, wildfires, blackouts, and evacuations. And they're warning, if you don't have these now, you'll wish you did later. So let's walk through the 10 most overlooked supplies FEMA says you're probably missing and fix those blind spots before it's too late. Before we start, just a quick note. This isn't about panic. It's about preparation that actually works. If you've seen something most people forget, drop it in the comments so we all stay one step ahead. Number 1. Wrench or pliers. When disaster strikes, your first instinct might be to check the food, grab your bag, or call family. But FEMA says one of the most urgent actions you might need to take is this. Shut off your gas, water, or electricity. Sounds simple, but you'd be surprised how many people don't have the tools to do it. A basic wrench or sturdy pair of pliers can make the difference between a controlled emergency response and a full-on house hazard. Think about it. An earthquake hits and your gas line gets compromised. Or a hurricane floods your basement and water's still rushing in. If you can't shut those systems down fast, you're not just dealing with inconvenience, you're risking fire, contamination, or structural damage. FEMA's emergency kit guidelines clearly list utility shutoff tools as essential, yet most people don't include them in their go bags or even know where their shutoff valves are. Here's the real kicker. You don't need a massive toolkit. A simple 10 or 12-inch crescent wrench stored next to your emergency gear is often all it takes. Better yet, attach it to your gas meter with a zip tie so it's always there when needed. Some households use multi-purpose gas shutoff tools, compact, durable, and built specifically for that function. The point is, you won't find these tools in the flashlight aisle or next to bottled water. When everyone rushes to buy batteries or food, these critical tools get ignored and disappear quickly once word spreads. And in urban or shared housing? Forget about it. Once the power's out or phones stop working, maintenance crews won't be able to respond right away. You're on your own, and you need to be able to act immediately. So don't wait. Add a wrench or pliers to your kit today. Label it. Practice using it. And most importantly, make sure every adult in the household knows where the shutoff valves are and how to operate them. Because in a real emergency, it's not about how stocked your pantry is, it's about what you can shut down, right now, to keep your family safe. Number 2. Local maps. Cell towers collapsed within hours during Hurricane Michael in 2018. Entire regions in Florida couldn't access GPS, phone calls, or online maps for days. FEMA and first responders had to rely on old-school, printed topographic maps to navigate blocked roads and flooded zones. And that's exactly why FEMA includes local paper maps in its core emergency supply recommendations, not as a backup, but as a primary tool when digital fails. Most people assume their phone will get them anywhere. But during disasters, wildfires, hurricanes, grid failures, your phone becomes a glorified flashlight if there's no signal or power. Battery banks drain, towers go down, and even downloaded maps won't update or recalculate if the network's out. That's when a simple paper map becomes the most powerful item in your kit. FEMA's Are You Ready? Manual highlights paper maps as a must-have, especially for those in evacuation-prone zones. These aren't just highway maps, they should include local details like backroads, elevation lines, waterways, and alternate routes. That's what first responders used during the 2017 Northern California wildfires to get through closed roads when GPS kept rerouting them into danger zones. Beyond evacuation, these maps help families set rally points, plan low-traffic escape paths, or identify nearby shelters and clinics. During Katrina, many families were separated because GPS couldn't reroute around waterlogged streets. In some cases, paper maps became literal lifelines passed between neighbors, hand-marked with safe zones, or even taped on community boards when networks were jammed. Here's what makes this item vanish quickly. Nobody thinks of it until the signal drops. And by then, printing one becomes impossible. Gas stations and outdoor stores run out. Even emergency supply kits often skip it unless you specifically request it. To prep smart, get a waterproof, foldable local map. Better yet, mark key locations. Hospitals, alternate fuel points, high ground, and your bug-out destination. Keep one in your emergency bag, glove box, and home drawer. Digital tools fail quietly. Paper maps don't. FEMA knows this, and so should you. Number 3. Moist towelettes and garbage bags with plastic ties. Sanitation becomes a crisis within the crisis, and FEMA knows it. In the aftermath of Hurricane Harvey in 2017, many shelters and temporary housing setups lacked functioning restrooms or running water for days. Volunteers were handing out baby wipes and trash bags because toilets weren't working, showers were flooded, and sewage lines were backed up. That's exactly why FEMA lists two seemingly small items as mandatory in any disaster kit: moist towelettes and heavy-duty garbage bags with plastic ties. These aren't luxuries. They're the first line of defense against infection, contamination, and mental burnout. When you're trapped indoors, using bottled water for everything, or stuck in a vehicle waiting for help, you won't be showering daily. You won't be flushing often. You'll need a way to clean yourself, manage waste, and stay mentally sane when everything starts to feel dirty. Moist towelettes, aka cleansing wipes, are your no-water hygiene solution. They help you clean your hands, wipe your face, and keep your body somewhat refreshed when there's no access to a sink. During the Puerto Rico power crisis post-Hurricane Maria, hygiene-related illnesses surged because people couldn't wash their hands or sanitize food areas. FEMA response teams began distributing towelettes in bulk to prevent outbreaks. As for the garbage bags, their role is far bigger than people realize. They're not just for trash. FEMA outlines their use for improvised toilets, waterproofing items, biohazard separation, and even temporary insulation. After the 2021 Texas freeze, where pipes burst and sewage backed up in homes, families used garbage bags to line buckets for toilets, collect soiled clothing, and seal off contaminated materials, all while stores were shut down and stock was gone. What most folks get wrong is they buy thin kitchen bags and call it done. But when things go bad, you need contractor-grade trash bags thick enough to hold liquid, seal tight, and withstand pressure. And don't forget the plastic ties. Twist ties won't cut it if you're managing biological waste. Strong cinch ties ensure containment and reduce odor. Keep both items together: a pack of unscented wipes and a roll of heavy-duty bags in your emergency bin. Use one, replace one. Because by the time stores restock, you'll be weeks too late. Cleanliness isn't comfort, it's survival. And FEMA has seen firsthand how fast it gets out of control when these two tools are missing. Number 4. Spare eyeglasses or contact lens backup case. Vision is one of those things you take for granted until it's compromised in the middle of a disaster. Yet FEMA repeatedly emphasizes the importance of packing an extra pair of prescription eyeglasses, contact lenses, and storage cases in every personal emergency kit. It's not a side note, it's a survival requirement. When power is out, roads are blocked, or you're evacuated to a shelter, the last thing you want to deal with is poor vision. The risk is higher than most people realize. According to CDC estimates, more than 60% of adults in the US wear prescription glasses or contact lenses. But how many keep a spare pair outside of their bedroom drawer? Almost none. And during Hurricane Katrina and again in Superstorm Sandy, thousands of displaced people arrived at shelters without basic personal items, including the eyewear they needed to function. FEMA response teams encountered people who couldn't read medication labels, couldn't walk confidently in crowded shelters, and couldn't help navigate because they'd left their glasses behind. Even more critical, contact lens wearers are at higher risk during crisis scenarios. Without clean water or a proper lens case, lens wearers can develop infections within hours. And in a situation where hygiene is already compromised, no power, no running water, shared restrooms, the danger only multiplies. That's why FEMA advises packing a lens case, small bottle of solution, and at least one backup pair of lenses if possible. Even better, a pair of non-prescription glasses can offer eye protection from dust, smoke, or flying debris issues commonly faced during wildfires or building collapses. But here's where it gets serious. Stores that stock glasses, cases, or lens solution are not considered priority resources during disasters. They don't reopen quickly. And once supply chains get disrupted, personal medical items like these take weeks, sometimes months, to restock. In 2020, during the initial COVID lockdown, optical clinics were shuttered for weeks, and even Amazon had delays in shipping simple lens cases. So what should you do? Store one sealed case and small solution bottle in a labeled plastic pouch inside your go bag. If you wear glasses, keep your previous pair as a backup. It might not be perfect vision, but it's a lifesaver when your primary pair breaks, gets lost, or is left behind in a rush. FEMA's been through this with millions of evacuees. And the verdict is simple. If you can't see, you can't function. So plan for your eyes before the world blurs. Number 5. Emergency blanket. In 2013, thousands of runners and spectators at the Boston Marathon were evacuated after the bombing, many without jackets, phones, or even water. First responders distributed foil-looking sheets, Mylar emergency blankets. They looked basic, but those thin silver sheets prevented shock, hypothermia, and panic. And that's exactly why FEMA includes space blankets in their basic supply checklist. They're lightweight, compact, and life-saving, especially when warmth becomes scarce. Emergency blankets are made of reflective Mylar, originally developed by NASA. They reflect up to 90% of body heat, making them incredibly efficient in cold conditions, whether indoors without power or outside during a storm. During the 2021 Texas freeze, millions of homes went without heat for days. Grocery stores, Walmarts, and online retailers ran out of Mylar blankets almost immediately. Families who had a few tucked into storage used them to line windows, insulate beds, and create warm sleeping zones even inside cars. What's often overlooked is how multifunctional these blankets are. FEMA's extended guidance notes they can be used for shelter construction, water collection, signal reflection, and even makeshift rain barriers. Despite all this, most people never include them in a prep kit, simply because they don't look like real gear. They're cheap, usually sold in packs of 4 or 5, and weigh almost nothing. Yet when temperatures drop or someone is in shock, no food or flashlight will replace body heat. That's why FEMA recommends keeping one per person in your emergency kit, not just for the outdoorsy types, but for every home, car, or go bag. Add a few to your glove box. Toss extras in your kitchen drawer. Because once the lights go out and cold creeps in, these tiny sheets turn into survival gold, and just like every other overlooked item on this list, they vanish the second disaster hits. Number 6. Whistle. In 2010, during the Haiti earthquake rescue missions, search crews often didn't find survivors by digging at random. They followed the sound of whistles. People trapped under rubble or stranded in dark buildings used whistles to alert rescuers. It saved lives. That's why FEMA includes a whistle in every recommended emergency kit. It's a tool that needs no power, no tech, and works even when you can't shout. Most people underestimate how exhausting it is to call for help over and over. Your voice wears out. Panic sets in. And in noisy conditions, floodwaters, helicopters, sirens, your voice just doesn't carry. A whistle, though, it cuts through chaos. A sharp blast gets attention fast, and you can use it for hours without going hoarse. FEMA's emergency planning brochures stress having a durable whistle, ideally attached to your go bag or worn on a lanyard. It's especially vital for children, the elderly, or anyone who might be alone during an emergency. If you're separated in an evacuation or power outage, it becomes your lifeline. In many disasters like Hurricane Katrina and the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami, people were stuck in attics, rooftops, or collapsed structures for hours or even days. Phone signals were dead. Batteries were drained. Screaming didn't help, but those with whistles stood a better chance of getting noticed. There's also a psychological factor. Blowing a whistle gives you something to do, a way to stay active, hopeful, and mentally focused while waiting for rescue. That sense of control, even in small bursts, makes a big difference when fear kicks in. Yet it's one of the least purchased emergency tools. Most households don't even own one, let alone include it in their prep bag. And when a disaster hits, local stores don't keep big stocks because it's not a hot item. So they vanish fast. You don't need a fancy one. Just a simple, loud, weather-resistant whistle, preferably with a clip or key ring. Keep one in your bag, one in the car, and one near your bed. Because if you're ever in a situation where no one can hear you, this tiny tool might be the only voice you have left. Number 7. Heavy-duty plastic sheeting or tarp. In the aftermath of Hurricane Laura in 2020, homeowners across Louisiana were handed blue plastic tarps by FEMA and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. Why? Because roofs were ripped apart, windows were shattered, and people needed a fast, durable way to cover their homes before more rain came in. These weren't luxury tools. They were the difference between controlling damage and watching everything inside your house get destroyed. FEMA explicitly includes heavy-duty plastic sheeting or tarp in emergency preparedness kits for this reason. It's not just for outdoor campers or doomsday preppers. This material becomes essential when your structure breaks a roof leak, broken window, or cracked wall during a storm, quake, or flood. And it's not just about buildings. You can use a tarp to set up shade, create privacy in shelters, collect rainwater, block wind, wrap wet gear, or even build a temporary stretcher. Most people don't realize how fast these vanish in a crisis. During the 2011 tornadoes in Joplin, Missouri, hardware stores ran out of plastic sheeting in hours. FEMA was forced to deploy thousands of rolls just to help families cover their homes. Same story repeated in Florida after Irma, and again in Kentucky's 2022 floods. And once they're gone, you can't improvise a tarp with a bedsheet or trash bag. They're not strong enough. What FEMA recommends is 6mm plastic sheeting or a waterproof, UV-resistant tarp with grommets. Thinner plastic tiers under tension and won't survive wind. Add some duct tape, bungee cords, or paracord, and you're ready to patch walls, reinforce doors, or create an emergency shelter in minutes. Some emergency tarp kits even include stakes, a small addition that makes a big difference when you're working outside. Another overlooked factor: sanitation. In earthquake zones like Nepal or Haiti, tarps were used to set up emergency latrine tents, giving families privacy and containing contamination. FEMA deployed thousands for this very use. And during the COVID-19 response, plastic sheeting was used to separate sleeping areas in shelters and set up isolation spaces. This isn't an optional prep, it's infrastructure in a roll. Whether you're sheltering in place or setting up outside, having at least one high-quality tarp or sheeting bundle can be the most flexible tool in your emergency stash. It's cheap, silent, and takes up almost no space, but when something breaks, it becomes the thing you reach for first. Number 8. Manual can opener. You could have shelves full of canned food, but if you can't open them, they're useless. That's why FEMA's emergency kit checklist specifically includes a manual can opener right next to food storage. It sounds basic, but this one tool has been forgotten in more disaster zones than you'd believe. When Superstorm Sandy hit the East Coast in 2012, thousands of households lost power for over a week. Many had stocked up on canned goods but forgot one simple thing: their openers were electric. FEMA field teams actually distributed manual can openers along with water and meals because so many people were stuck staring at sealed cans of beans and soup. Electric gadgets are everywhere now. But in a blackout, they're just dead weight. And trying to open a steel can with a knife, screwdriver, or brute force? It's not just frustrating, it's dangerous. ER visits spike during disasters due to deep hand lacerations from improvised can opening attempts. The right move is to keep 2 manual openers, one in your kitchen, another in your go bag. Choose a basic model that doesn't rust, doesn't rely on grip strength, and has no extra gadgets to break. Even better if it has a built-in bottle opener or puncture point for emergency venting. And here's what most people forget: openers disappear quickly when panic shopping hits. During COVID lockdowns, stores ran out of the cheapest ones within days, and better models vanished from shelves and online carts fast. No one wants to eat dry crackers for days when there's a full pantry of food they can't access. So be smart. Pack it with your food. Tape it to your emergency bin if you have to. Because when things go dark, your can opener isn't a tool, it's your ticket to every calorie you saved. Number 9. Prescription information sheet. Emergency kits aren't just about gear, they're also about information. That's why FEMA recommends every household include a written prescription information sheet in their preparedness plan. It's not enough to have your pills, you need to know what they are, what they do, and how much you take. In a crisis, that data can save your life. If you're displaced during a storm, fire, or flood, chances are you won't have your pharmacy nearby. And even if you do, electronic systems may be down. No e-prescriptions, no refill history, no ID verification. Medical responders and relief shelters rely on paper records to treat people safely. This happened during the Paradise, California wildfires in 2018. Evacuees arrived at shelters with bags of unlabeled pills, no dosages, no instructions. Doctors had to guess, and that's a gamble no one should take. A simple one-page sheet solves this. Write down each medication's name, dosage, frequency, and reason you take it. Include allergies, pharmacy contacts, and your doctor's name. Keep it sealed in a waterproof pouch inside your go bag. And don't forget, this helps more than just you. In large-scale disasters like Katrina or Maria, people lost access to insulin, heart meds, and psychiatric prescriptions. A quick list helped mobile clinics provide refills and avoid dangerous substitutions. Most kits skip this. Don't make that mistake. Paper still wins when everything else fails. Number 10. Cash in small denominations. Digital wallets, credit cards, tap to pay, all of it vanishes the moment the power goes out. That's why FEMA continues to include cash, especially small bills, in every official disaster supply list. When systems crash, paper money still talks, and it talks fast. After Hurricane Ida in 2021, Entire regions in Louisiana went dark. No ATMs, no card machines. Gas stations were open, but couldn't process plastic. Grocery stores let people in, but accepted only cash. Those carrying $50 second or $100 second were turned away because there was no change. It wasn't about how much you had, it was about how spendable your money was. FEMA recommends storing at least a few days' worth of small bills, think $1 second, $5 second, and $10 second in a sealed pouch or envelope. This isn't for splurging. It's for ice, gas, canned food, batteries, things you'll only be able to grab in person when they're available, and often without warning. And it's not just storms. During the early days of COVID-19, New York, California, and other cities saw outages at banks, delays in transactions, and even card fraud spikes. Many people lined up at ATMs only to find them offline. FEMA had already warned that cash shortages occur when panic meets broken infrastructure, and the warning proved right. There's another angle too: barter. During extended disruptions, cash becomes a way to trade not just for goods, but for favors, rides, access, or private services. A $5 bill can open a locked door faster than a dead phone. Keep the cash separate from your daily wallet. Wrap it, label it, and don't touch it unless absolutely necessary. Include coins if possible. Vending machines, laundromats, or older gas stations may require them. Plastic fails silently. Cash doesn't. So here's the reality. Most people think they're prepared until it's too late. But now you know better. Not just the big items, but the exact things FEMA sees people forget every single time a crisis hits. This isn't a theory. These are field-tested gaps. These are the small oversights that become big regrets when disaster shows up at your door. And now, you've got the advantage most people won't. But let's keep it real. Prepping isn't a one-time checklist. It's a mindset. And on this channel, that mindset's always evolving. We're not here to sell fear. We're here to share what works, backed by real disasters, real data, and the things FEMA doesn't shout from the rooftops but expects you to already know. So if you're the type who wants to stay ahead of the chaos, not just survive it, hit that subscribe button right now. Because the next time shelves go empty, alerts light up your phone, or the power cuts without warning, you won't be guessing. You'll already be 10 steps ahead. And before you go, if you've got a smart item that most people still forget, drop it in the comments. Your tip might be the one thing that helps someone else stay ready when it counts most.